is Hearts of Heroes. A vehicle crashes on the side of a busy highway and erupts in flames.
I just saw the fireball, and the hill was caught on fire like that.
There was a car on fire. There was no emergency personnel on site yet.
With a man trapped inside, a group of strangers bands together
In that moment, a man needed to be saved. Didn't matter who it was.
to perform an incredible rescue.
There was just moments, seconds. The entire passenger side compartment spontaneously combusted. It was intense.
With their swift and decisive actions, these good Samaritans truly define the word hero.
Imagine driving down the road and suddenly you see a car engulfed in flames, and inside is a person trapped. It is a chilling and heart-wrenching sight, and I'm not sure any of us know what we would do.
Well, this is exactly what happened when one man was trapped inside his burning car, and passersby simply knew they had to act, and act fast.
Minneapolis and St. Paul are Minnesota's two largest cities. Mostly separated by the Mississippi River, they're collectively known as the Twin Cities. In addition to its vibrant community, the area also exudes an intangible quality known as Minnesota nice. And in no time was that more evident than on April 18th of 2024. That evening, attorney Sam Orbovich was heading home after a long day of work.
I got on the on-ramp for I-94 and was driving in the right lane.
Sam was approaching his off-ramp when a speeding car suddenly swerved into his lane.
What I must have done was turn the wheel to get out of his way, jumped the curb, hit the lamppost, and then I was knocked out.
The car caught fire and then careened down the shoulder of the highway.
Took out the light pole, split his gas tank, and then just erupted in flames and went to rest against the guardrail.
Delivery driver Michael Coy was driving behind that car when he saw the whole wreck happen.
As soon as I looked, I just saw the fireball, and the hill was caught on fire like that because of all the gas. I noticed the airbag head went off, and he was unconscious on top of the airbag. And I immediately jumped out on 94 and ran. And I met up at the car.
Physical therapist Lacey Kramer also jumped out of her car to help.
I think everybody had that same realization. There was a car on fire, possibly people inside, and there was no emergency personnel on site yet.
It's always best to wait for a trained rescuer to arrive. But in this case, there was no time to waste. Other motorists joined in the rescue. These brave commuters didn't know the driver, but they knew they had to do something.
This man is inside the burning car. I was thinking like, this could be me one day.
I cannot just stand there and see a person burning alive. That's how hard to take in. So the only thing that comes to my mind was like, I have to pull over, help this guy.
In that moment, a man needed to be saved. I was going to do anything I could to save his life. Didn't matter who it was.
With the man's door pinned up against the guardrail, this group of strangers quickly began working in sync to get him out of the burning car.
Everybody was on their own, like different missions. Nobody had the time to look at what the other person is doing.
We didn't even verbally communicate. It was just known that you had a job to do.
Everybody was just doing their part and trying not to get in each other's way.
There was a guy with a fire extinguisher that was kind of keeping the flames out. And then there were 3 other people that were trying to find a way to get Sam out.
The car was parked right next to the highway barrier, so I can only open it so much.
It was only a matter of 6 inches where you could get the door open to hit the guardrail.
Meanwhile, the fire was spreading.
We had the grass, the hill, the road, back where he had hit, all the way up underneath his vehicle, and it was intense.
Coming up,
It was just moments, seconds. The entire passenger side compartment spontaneously combusted.
but first, a few self-care tips if you get a low-grade burn.
Did you know that in the U.S., nearly 400,000 burn injuries are reported each year? However, many less severe first-degree burns often go unreported. Some of the most common causes include touching a hot stove, a curling iron, or boiling water.
If you get burned, here are a few things you can do to start the healing process. 1, immediately immerse the burn in cool tap water or apply a cold wet compress. 2, apply a lotion like aloe vera 2 to 3 times a day. 3, cover a burn with a non-stick sterile bandage.
And if you're concerned that your burn might be more severe, call a medical professional immediately. Remember to remain chill and treat burns with skill.
When a car burst into flames on the side of a busy highway, complete strangers jumped in to rescue the unconscious driver.
I just saw him trying to open the door, but the guardrail kind of stopped him from opening.
The more we tried, it got a little bit wider, but not enough to pull him out.
While some of the rescuers tried valiantly to get the door open, others looked for a different way in.
I immediately went to the back to the passenger side door. I let the other gentleman work on the driver's side door.
I was like screaming, please bring something to break the window.
So I decided to go look for anything that I could break the window with.
It was very stressful. I just remember looking around and there's nothing there.
Meanwhile, Michael Coy got the passenger door open.
He was actually unconscious until I opened up the passenger side door and I awoke him.
People were pounding on the windows to try to get me out and pulling the door, and I was pushing the door with my hands and saying, "Get me out of here."
Now awake, Sam Orbovich was overtaken by smoke, dazed and confused. Coy tried to coax him out of the passenger side.
He undid his seatbelt. He was climbing over the console. There was just moments, seconds. The entire passenger side compartment combusted. The fire came from the vents, it came from the floorboard, it came from the firewall. The seat lit fire. I mean, everything lit fire.
There was a lot of explosions. It just kept exploding.
When I saw that larger explosion and people running away for a second, he started saying, help me, help me. And that is when I started to worry that we might not be able to get him out.
That was the only second where I was absolutely scared and I wanted to cry because I thought we weren't going to be able to save him. I knew we only had minutes or seconds until the vehicle was going to light.
With the car overwhelmed by flames, time was running out for the driver.
With the driver's door blocked by the guardrail and the passenger door engulfed in flames, their only hope would be to somehow break the window.
Come back with some fiberglass can of plastic thing, and I hit a couple of times and flew out my hands. That's when I was like, oh, we need something harder. I never knew in my life that window was that hard to break.
Still, this heroic crew refused to give up. Unbeknownst to them, Dave Klepeda, a highway helper with the Department of Transportation, was traveling down the highway.
Our objective is to keep motorists moving, keep traffic flowing, and that would be tire changes, jump starts with vehicles, help them with minor repairs.
He suddenly saw the commotion, pulled over, and ran over to the scene.
You could see them struggling to get the person out of the vehicle. The tires are popping, so you have explosions, and they're trying everything to get in the car. So as I approached, I grabbed my punch. A punch is a tool that has a little pin inside of it, spring-loaded, and you push it up against a window, and it just shatters the window.
That window just broke into a million small pieces.
He was just telling Sam, it's time to get out, like, let's go out.
In the chaos, Sam's body had gotten turned around. He now had his feet pointed toward the driver's window.
And I was just yelling to grab him by his feet. I didn't want them to try to turn him around. There was no time for that.
And then 4, 5, 6 of them just hauled me out of the car.
And as soon as we got him out, the entire vehicle lit up within 15 seconds. That's all we had. We only had 15 seconds.
It was a scary moment, you know. It was very scary.
The rescuers moved him to safety, and physical therapist Lacey Kramer checked him for injuries.
I looked at pulse, I looked at his breathing, I looked at his pupil size just to make sure that there was not any unevenness.
By this time, first responders who had been frustratingly hung up in bumper-to-bumper traffic arrived.
When we pulled up on scene, he was just laying up against another vehicle, but he seemed to be doing okay and was answering most questions appropriately, but he'd been through a lot.
There was not a lot of yelling and screaming, and it was actually a very, very helpful situation with the people involved. You almost thought like these folks have done this before because it was that smooth. I give them all the credit in the world, and I mean that wholeheartedly.
It's amazing what they did, how fast they acted, how they worked as a team. It was like 4 or 5 of them all working together to do an amazing job.
Sam was taken to the hospital while firefighters worked to put out that fire. And without exchanging names or numbers, this group of everyday heroes went their separate ways.
As I was driving away from the scene, I was thinking, no one is going to believe that I just did this and that we just did this.
That might have been the end of the story had it not been for what happened next.
It was surreal to see yourself on national television saving a life.
Coming up, a dash cam video becomes a media sensation.
News stations across the world were picking up on this story.
It happens every day. People going about their daily lives when suddenly disaster strikes, turning the world upside down.
As you're about to see, things could have been much worse had it not been for the brave heroes who showed up, risked it all, and saved the day. Good Samaritans had pulled Sam Orbovich from his burning car with only seconds to spare. Incredibly, he walked away from the fire with only minor injuries.
They did a thorough check, but I was out of the hospital within 4 or 5 hours.
That night, when Kadir Tola got home, he made a surprising discovery. His dash cam had caught the entire thing on video. Soon, news outlets far and wide began picking up the story.
My friends and family started messaging me that I was on the news and that the news stations even across the world were picking up on this story.
It was 4 minutes of my life, and it was probably the best 4 minutes of my life when I rose to the occasion. Did something that I'm proud of.
Thanks to all the media attention, Sam went on a quest to find and eventually meet the people who saved his life.
We were fortunate enough to be able to sit down with all of the ones we know, and I told them that I owed my life to them. I would not be here.
Coming up, we get some tips on car fire safety, and Sam has a heartwarming message for his heroes. But first, some advice to help keep your home safe from fire during the warm months.
Summer heat can dry out trees and vegetation, increasing home fire hazards. So if you live in an area prone to wildfires, always be prepared by following the motto, ready, set, go.
Be ready. Keep dry leaves and trees at least 50 feet away from your home. Get set. Keep all important documents, medications, and photos in one safe spot. And when emergency personnel give the evacuation warning, it's time to go.
The men and women of the fire service train diligently to ensure our safety. Stay prepared and always heed their advice.
Good Samaritans had pulled Sam Orbovich from his burning car.
There was a lot of explosions. It just kept exploding.
And as soon as we got him out, the entire vehicle lit up within 15 seconds.
As we've seen, staying safe in a burning car matters. Sheldon Yellen, of our sponsor Belfour Property Restoration, has enlisted a team of fire experts and firefighters to give us some useful information on how all of us can keep ourselves safe should we ever be caught in a burning vehicle. To safely illustrate how quickly a fire can spread, they tossed in a couple of flares.
Firefighter Avery, if somebody is trapped inside of a burning car like this, what is it they need to know?
First thing they need to know is to stay calm and try your best to self-extricate. This can look like unbuckling, cutting your seatbelt, and maybe even very carefully considering breaking a window if you can't get your door open.
And if there are other people in the car with you, you are the one that's responsible to keep everybody calm.
Of course, staying calm is going to be your best bet, and try to make sure that your car is in park and the ignition is off.
And if you have items in the car, forget about what you have in the car. This is all about you and the others getting out safe.
Absolutely. Safety first, always.
After the story of his miraculous rescue went viral, Sam Orbovich was able to connect with the heroes who had saved his life. Sam was also given a very special gift from transportation worker Dave Klapita.
This is the exact one that Dave used to break the window. It's going to be our Christmas and birthday gifts going forward for everybody.
Being a humble man, Sam kept a low profile during the media frenzy. In fact, this is the first time that he's publicly talked about the whole ordeal. He did, however, release a statement to the press.
What it said was, "I am alive today because several good Samaritans and professional first responders saved my life." Mr. Rogers used to say that whenever someone sees something scary, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping.
I was raised like that, to care for others. I was just at the right place at the right time.
On Thursday evening, several drivers on I-94 in St. Paul pulled over, ran from their cars, and tried to free me as my car was bursting into flames along the berm of the freeway.
Why did I do it? I think humanity, just being a person, helping another person, I think that's part of my nature.
It comes as no surprise when well-trained professionals snap into action to save someone's life, but it is incredibly heroic when people choose to put themselves at risk to extract a stranger from a burning car that could explode at any moment.
It was a team effort. I don't think I individually feel like a hero. I feel like the team collectively are heroes.
On that day, the most beautiful things in there, if you look, you had people from different backgrounds, different genders, different religions come together, and we helped save the life.
I just would not be here if it were not for you. I told all my friends, if you need to get trapped in a burning car, make sure you do it in Minnesota because somebody's going to come to save you.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
What could have been a horrific tragedy turned a group of strangers into lifelong friends.
Meeting those heroes and being part of it, that makes me really, really happy.
They're just a marvelous group of people. I would not be here if it weren't for their heroism.
We see it time and again. First responders and everyday folks jumping in to help a person when they need it most.
And it just goes to show you, you don't have to be a trained professional to be an everyday hero. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Hearts of Heroes.